Am I the a-hole for letting our son use his untouched college fund as a down payment on a house and not using it to pay off our daughter's student loans? Our son just graduated college. He was extremely studious in high school and was able to get a full scholarship to the school of his choice. The college fund we saved for him therefore went untouched. Our daughter is a couple years older than our son. Despite our best efforts, she was never the greatest student. So while she was able to go to college, she received no scholarship money. The college fund we saved for her, which actually amounted to a little more than what we saved for our son, covered about half her tuition, with loans making up the rest. Our son did extremely well in college and graduated with a great job. We therefore decided to gift him his college fund to use as a down payment on a house. And with the stock market's gains over the last 4 years, it's grown quite a bit since he went off to school. Our daughter was furious when she found out that our son's college fund went towards him buying a house. She said that he's already way ahead of her in life, since he graduated debt-free with a much better paying job than our daughter's, and it's not fair to put him even further ahead. She maintains the fair thing to have done is to have put our son's fund towards paying off her loans. Both my husband, our son, and I think our daughter is being entitled, but she told some of our extended family how unfair we're being and they're taking her side. Are we somehow the unfair ones here? Now for the top comments. I'm inclined to say not they all. This is a classic fair versus equal issue. Fair would say that both kids graduate debt-free, so long as you have the money to do so. That is, everyone gets what they need regardless of who needs more. While equal would say that each kid gets the same amount regardless of need. Neither is wrong, and given your kids aren't owed a college fund, you're already being very generous. It's really up to you whether you choose to be fair or to be equal. You choose equal. Each kid gets their own fund, and that's completely valid. Most wills choose equal too, giving each child the same amount regardless of who needs it more. My friend's parents chose fairness, leaving their money to their social worker son rather than their daughter married to a well-paid executive. But needs changed and they left her, cleaning out their accounts. He did have to share assets eventually, but she did not get alimony, have to be married 20 years in my state, and her standard of living is now lower than her brother's. That is super crappy. I would hope the son would realize this and give half his inheritance to his sister, which would be unlikely. I would have given a disproportionate amount to my child in greater need, but not 100% versus none. I'm sure her parents would be sad/ashamed at how it worked out. Not they whole. You had the same amount of money earmarked for each kid. Your daughter isn't entitled to more because she struggled more. You were perfectly fair giving them the same amount, and they used it the way each of them needed to. Actually, they said they saved up more money in the daughter's fund. Not they whole. The goal of college funds isn't to have complete equity of outcomes. It's to provide the same resources to each child. Kids will have different scholarships or differently priced schools, and that will impact how far their funds go. Presumably, you do the same for your daughter if the situation was flipped. Now, for the next story. Am I the a-hole for rejecting my stepkid's younger siblings from my daycare? I married my husband 10 years ago. My stepkids were 4 and 5 at the time, now 14 and just turned 16. My husband's ex has despised the fact my husband and I married before her and her husband. And she has made her hatred of me/us known to my stepkids, and in turn, my stepkids have closed themselves off from me and rejected my attempts to get close to them. We've been to court, we have presented proof to the judge, taken them to therapy, but mom's hold over them is strong, and her words are taken more seriously than my husband's with the kids. I tried to be a loving, caring stepmother who didn't overstep, but my stepkids have been perfectly clear. I am nothing to them and will always be nothing to them. So I am less hyper-focused in what they think of me. For years, it kept me awake at night with worry and sadness. Now, I'm sad. Breaks my freaking heart that I love them and they don't reciprocate because of some dumb issue their mom had with me that turned to hate. But it's the cards we have been dealt with. I run a daycare. It's the cheapest daycare around because I always dreamed of giving back in some way to working families. And so I was able to make it work. It is popular, but we always do our best to take kids when needed. My husband's ex and her husband have kids together. Their youngest 2 are not in school, and their household was hit hard by COVID, so they tried to register their kids in my daycare. I rejected them. I did so because I did not feel like it would be healthy to have that extra layer of dealing with each other. The woman already hates me, has told me not to touch her kids. And while I run the place, I also work there. With the kids. So never interacting with her kids will not be a thing that can happen. And I am afraid she would go out of her way to try and get me shut down as some petty revenge thing. The issue is, she was pissed about the rejection and told my stepkids, and they told my husband's family, who now think I'm the a-hole, as well as the ex and my stepkids, because this could have been me showing my stepkids that I'm willing to go out of my way for their other family. And that is fine. Except I have always done my best to be kind, to be friendly, to not fight, and it wasn't enough. I don't see this one thing tipping the scale after a decade. But I want to know if I'm the a-hole for rejecting the kids from my daycare? Not the a-hole. She asked you not to touch her kids. How can you do that if they're at your daycare? OP is being smart and protecting herself, her employees, and her business. All it takes is one allegation, and she could lose everything. Suppose on if the kiddos has an accident. What's to stop the mother from alleging abuse? Part of me thinks that's the mother's end goal anyway. She cannot stand OP. So why out of every other childcare situation known to humanity would she want her kids to be cared for by OP? Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your decision seems well thought out, and you have the right to do what's best to protect your own family and business. I can't even comprehend after everything she has done to you that she would even think this was okay to try to enroll her kids with you. Though it may very well have been another ploy to make you look bad. As in, she knew you'd say no. She knew it would cause more friction, and it was just another way to make you look bad to your stepkids. I'm sorry you have to experience all of this from your husband's ex, but your continued ability rising above the situation is a testimony to your character, and, well, her behavior is a testament to her own. Good luck. Not the a-hole. It sounds like you have a damn good reason not to be anywhere near her kids. If she's already told you not to touch her kids, then tries to enroll said kids at your daycare, yeah, I'd be worried too that she's trying to pull something. Not the a-hole. This would be a crap show waiting to happen if you allowed those kids in. Imagine they have a serious accident at daycare, or even not so overly serious but get a bruised knee, etc. Who do you think is getting the blame regardless of the circumstances? I'm about to sound like an a-hole, but the ex could be picturing a huge insurance payout if something were to happen. 100% you did the right thing rejecting them. This has been my fear too. Like maybe even a small paper cut, I could see sending her over the edge. Next story. Am I the a-hole for manipulating my daughter's marriage? From the title, I'm sure I, 49 male, do sound like one. My eldest daughter seems to believe I am, so wanted to know if she's right. A couple years ago, my daughter Nat, who was 21 at the time, introduced us to her fiancé, a 46-year-old man, literally 1 year younger than me. Everyone in the family was livid. My ex-wife, and so was I, honestly. It took a lot of restraint not to lose control the first time I met him. Nat said they met at work. He wasn't her direct supervisor due to them working different departments, but that still didn't sit right with me. She swore up and down they're in love and they were gonna make it work. Nat is a sweet girl, very smart and mature, but the first time I met him, I saw right through him. Actually got some pretty good advice from a close friend of mine. He encouraged me to befriend the guy, support my daughter even if I don't support it. But be his friend in a way that makes my daughter see his real age and show how completely different they really are. I wasn't over the top with it, but I did attempt to become close with him, not that I enjoyed any second of it. When they'd come over for a visit, we spent hours talking about politics, work, what our plans were once we finally hit retirement, shared stories from childhood. Sometimes I could tell the conversations would bore my daughter, even when we'd include her in them. It's been over a year since they got married, and Nat decided to leave him a few weeks ago. She asked me for help finding an attorney, so me and her mom have been helping out with that. She left their place, so at the moment she's staying with me. As I suspected, she realized they were not compatible at all, and it just felt weird according to her how similar me and him are. I'll be honest, I'm relieved I won't have to be his friend anymore. Everyone came over for Father's Day. Nat went with her brother to buy more chips and sodas, so it was only me and eldest daughter. My eldest daughter asked if I'd be able to cope with not having my buddy anymore, and I said of course. It's not like I enjoy being around the guy. She asked what I meant, and I explained I only became friendly with him so that Nat could see more of his actual age, how different they actually are, and so that she wouldn't shut me out of her life. My daughter is taking it like I intentionally manipulated the man in order to end his marriage. She thinks now that I'm an a-hole for befriending him under false pretenses, just to get Nat to leave him, and it's basically my fault they're divorcing. I'm not sure how it would be my fault. Nat said herself she saw how completely incompatible they were. But she does seem to think I was one for being part of why she left him. Honestly, I'm lost here. Am I the a-hole? Added to clarify, this conversation was with my other daughter, not with Nat. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You did good. Clearly, you were right about him. If you didn't expedite the process, she would have only realized it 3 to 5 years from now. She's upset because you were right and she was wrong. Sadly, this is the correct answer, only because it sucks she got taken advantage of to begin with. Not the a-hole. You were being polite and cordial, even if you meant to kill him with kindness and expose him, because that's just who he is. A 46-year-old man. Her father's peer. Not her own. There was no deceit or malice in your actions, only concern and support for your daughter and her husband, even if you didn't approve. I hope she can recover and be well from the divorce, and ends up happy as both an individual person and in any future relationships. If the fiancé had been a rage but unlikable for some reason, the same approach would have been a good one as well. 21 is still young enough to be in rebel mode. Not giving the daughter something to rebel against and not making staying with him feel necessary to save face was a good decision. Not the a-hole. Your only mistake was not taking this little bit of showmanship to the grave. Her marriage didn't end because of you. It ended because she realized, with a bit of indirect help, that this relationship was not what she wanted. For real, why did he have to tell his daughter about that? What was Opie thinking? It's not something you brag about. After all, the marriage ended already. You're the a-hole for giving the plot away. My eldest daughter asked if I'd be able to cope with not having my buddy anymore. No, it made my daughter unhappy. There was no reason to monologue like a Bond villain. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for making my husband fish out our son's dirty diaper from the water? Hello. Me, female 29, and my husband, male 33, haven't gone out in a while, about 4 months. And the reason for that is he lost his best friend. They were like brothers, and this loss was very devastating for my husband. As a result, he's become less active and less interested in doing things. I wanted to cheer him up and get some family time together, and since weather is hot, I wanted us to go have fun at the beach. We had a tent at the beach and brought our own food and stuff we needed to spend the day. My husband wanted to change our son's diaper, so I let him handle it while I prepared a meal. When finished, I asked him to wrap the dirty diaper and put it in the trash bin outside. He went outside for a minute, then came back. I then went outside the tent and saw a teenager telling me my husband just tossed our son's dirty diaper in the water. I was shocked. I confronted him and asked why he didn't dispose the diaper in the trash bin. He said he couldn't find it after looking, and decided to toss the diaper into the water because he was too tired to walk further. I said it was unhygienic and disgusting to throw it into the water where people are swimming. His defense was that the waves were going to carry it away. I got so mad at him and told him to quickly fish it out the water because this was disgusting and disrespectful to nature and the people on the beach. He said he could barely see it, so no one would notice. I said someone could have got this on video and posted it, making us look horrible. I pressured him to go after he wanted me to go. He went and was able to get it out, then threw a fit saying I made him go into the water knowing he wasn't prepared, and that it wasn't an emergency, it was just a diaper and people pee in the sea, so what is the difference? He said I knew how much he's been struggling in the past months, and wanted to enjoy a day out on the beach, but I treated him like a child and forced him to make a huge amount of effort to get the diaper out. He remained upset the rest of the day, claiming I exaggerated with how pushy I was. So, did I really ruin the day out for him by making him do that? Not the a-hole. That was lazy and disgusting of him, and he acted like a toddler. If he can't be asked to be an adult, he doesn't need to go on vacations. I understand his feeling down, but that's not an excuse. Also, the husband was confused why I can't throw pee into water. Almost all single-use diapers are not biodegradable and include a variety of plastic-based ingredients. But I treated him like a child and forced him to make a huge amount of effort to get the diaper out. You treated him like a child because he behaved like a child. The huge amount of effort, lol, was a consequence of his own actions. Piggybacking because I think you summed it up nicely. Husband acted like a child, belittling a used diaper into the water out of sheer laziness. Hope he's not the a-hole. Anyone who chooses to litter is the a-hole. Especially when that litter contains human waste. Especially when that litter is a diaper, which are known for being particularly damaging to the environment as they do not break down quickly or easily. A disposable diaper can take 500 years to break down. People pee in the sea, so what is the difference? Urine dissipates very quickly in seawater and is mostly made up of water. People can still step in a pile of baby poop, and a disposable diaper is made out of materials that take years to break down. And the earth is not a trash can. Not a hole. Grieving is no excuse to not use a trash can. First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to financially support my in-laws until they show me some respect? I, 32 male, have been with my wife, 28 female, for 6 years, and we have 3 children, 6 male, 4 male, and 2 male. I have a speech impediment. It's nothing too serious. I don't stutter or anything like that, and people are definitely able to understand what I say. Since people suck, I was ridiculed because of it for basically my entire childhood by almost everyone I knew, including my parents. Of course, people still laugh at and ridicule me for my disability, but since I have gained confidence as I matured, I am less tolerant of it. One of the reasons I caught contact with my parents and stand up for myself a lot more. My in-laws, like most people, enjoy making fun of and ridicule me for the way I sound. I have, of course, told them I am not comfortable with it, but they still do it. Eventually, I just started ignoring them or leaving the room whenever they do it. Recently, my dog, which I had for 5 years, passed away, so it's been a hard past few weeks for me, and I haven't had the best temper this week. Yesterday morning, my wife's parents came to my house to see our child. They were still sleeping when this happened. While we were having breakfast, they asked me if I could lend them some money since they have been having a difficult year. Obviously reasons why. And literally 30 seconds after they asked for money, my in-laws made a joke about my voice. At this point, I was at loss for words and simply told them to bug off and to learn some respect if they want money. All day, my wife has been begging me to reconsider, saying that what they said was just a harmless joke and that she's sorry if it offended me. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. What they said was just a harmless joke. And yet, it sure seems to have harmed their chances for getting a free loan. For their harmless joke, they can be harmless broke. For their harmless joke, they can be harmless broke. For being mean to our bloke and his disability they like to poke. Not the a-hole. Also, couldn't resist adding to the awesome rhyme. Not the a-hole. Donate however much they ask for to a charity that helps kids with speech issues, since they're so bothered by them. Oh, I like the suggestion, as long as Soapy could afford it. Your wife is the biggest a-hole in the story, and I am upset on your behalf. Absolutely not the a-hole, and stand your ground. Maybe suggest to your wife that she do some self-reflection, or get some therapy for her unacceptable behavior too. Yep, having the victim apologize to the jerk to make peace is a selfish thing of the wife to do. Not the a-hole. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for calling my boyfriend a hypocrite when he told me to stop spending so much time in my crocheting? Yes, I know this sounds ridiculous, but he's fuming with me at the moment and I can't get through to him. Okay, well, I crochet a lot. Like a lot. It's my hobby and it helps me deal with my really bad anxiety. My partner doesn't like that I do it so much. Just to set some background, I work full-time, and when I'm not working, I make sure to clean up our house, make some dinner, ensure the dog has had a walk, just general household upkeep, before I sit down on the sofa and crochet. When my boyfriend came up to me today and said that he's unhappy with how much time I spend crocheting, I'm not going to lie, I laughed a bit, and basically said you spend more time playing games in one day than I do crocheting in a week. He really did not like that answer. told him that before I crochet, I ensure that all my household duties are done, that dinner is made, etc. My boyfriend works part-time from home, and when he's not working, he's playing games. Just getting him to clean the bathroom once a week is a task in itself. He's fuming with me now and saying I'm attacking him and asking if I just want him to stop doing what makes him happy. I said that's not the case at all. Then he said that I'm just angry with him because he gets to work from home. Also not the case. I work in a brain rehabilitation unit. I've always enjoyed my job. And obviously, it's not a career where I can just work from home. I called him a hypocrite with how he's trying to tell me off for doing something too much when he himself can't even get basic chores done. Now he's got the huff with me. And anytime I try to make conversation, he cusses me out. Lol. Am I the a-hole for calling him a hypocrite? Was asked to include this comment to why he came up to me in the first place about this. I probably should have mentioned his reasoning. The reason I mentioned the chores is because that's what he told me I should be doing more of. He said instead of spending time into crocheting, I could be using that time to do more impactful and useful things. Like I could be cleaning up more, or doing more laundry, or finding more fun dishes to make. I'm Polish and predominantly cook Polish food. He's never been very on board with that. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. He has a lot more free time than you, but barely gets any house chores done, spends more time on his hobby, and criticizes you for having something you enjoy that helps you cope with anxiety? Tell me, Opie, why are you with him? We've been together for a long time. He was my first boyfriend when I moved here to UK from Poland. He let me stay with him when I needed a place. I'm generally happy in this relationship. I don't at all mind cleaning and cooking as I am used to it, but there are just a few things that we disagree on, and this is one of them clearly. Not sure why my comment is being disliked. Apologies if I said something wrong. He should not be cursing you out. Ever. Seriously, that is a huge red flag, Opie. Do not ignore that, please. I've seen too many friends and family deal with crap like this. It just makes my blood boil. Not an a-hole, by the way. He's probably just worried because we all know crocheting is a gateway craft. You think you're going to make a blanket or two, then it's a doily for every surface, and a cover for every appliance and tissue box. It's all fun and games until you both end up in a head-to-toe crocheted matching outfits. It's a slippery slope from hobby to addiction. Sarcasm, not an a-hole. That made me laugh. It's true. Holy smokes, throw the whole boyfriend away. He's gone bad. Anyone who told me I should be doing chores while he plays video games would be out in his butt so fast he'd think he was magicked out there. Why would you put up with someone like that? Not the a-hole. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to go to my brother-in-law's public apology? I, male 46, lost my wife 13 years ago in a car accident. I was the one driving, and I got out of the hospital with a severely injured knee. I had a dislocated shoulder, and my nose was broken, aside from the post-traumatic stress disorder that I'm still dealing with till today. I took care of our 2 kids alone after her family, specifically her brother, blamed me. And he told everyone saying it was my fault and lied about me being drunk that night. Everything was clear. I wasn't the one at fault, but still. Her brother isolated me and turned everyone to hate me. I was kicked out of the house and they allowed only the kids to come over. I didn't want my kids to hear what their uncle said about me, but I couldn't stop them from seeing the kids, especially after my brother-in-law said he'd get the law involved if I don't let the family see the kids. Years went by and I haven't got married again. I simply wanted to focus on my children and my own well-being. I was honest with my kids about their mother's death. We were in therapy together, and that's when the kids said that they believed their uncle when he told them it was my fault. This caused a huge argument between me and their uncle, and the kids ended up seeing a different therapist. I couldn't handle hearing my own kids repeating their uncle's lies. I went no contact with the family, but my kids, as they got older, they continued to visit. I respected that. My daughter 20 moved out and cut contact. My son 18 went to stay at a friend's place. My sister-in-law is the only one who supports me. She too thinks their uncle made them resent me. They don't want to see me, nor even visit. Despite showing, my daughter still believed her uncle and kept blaming me, and it's already been a year since I've seen my kids. It's devastating, and it's more than I can handle. Now, my brother-in-law has been sick for over a year. I've been told recently that he wants to publicly apologize to me in front of everyone for what he did in the past, but I refused. His sister talked to me about how he wants to mend a relationship, but I told her I'm not interested. Others started pressuring me, including my own family. They're arguing with me, calling me grudge holder and a bitter person. I just refused to continue to talk, but they're not dropping it. They said I needed to do it for my children, but I honestly don't think that it'll fix anything. I don't think his apology will make up for all the years of struggling, trying to fix what he ruined while dealing with my own issues. He always took pride in turning my own kids against me, so I don't know why he wants to apologize now. Not an a-hole. He destroyed your family with his lies. Tell them that when your children come to you and tell you that they know that their uncle lied and the accident was not your fault, then you will consider accepting an apology. And I only say consider because you can never get back the years that he stole from you, and you have every right to never speak to him again. The thing that you need to push back with on everyone pressuring you is that your children need to be explicitly told that they were lied to and have got their father out of their lives over that lie. Tell them that when your children come to you and tell you that they know that their uncle lied and the accident was not your fault, then you will consider accepting an apology. This is the best advice. You don't need his apology. You know the truth. He should apologize to your children and convince them. That is the only thing that does matter. Edit. Not an a-hole for obvious reasons. He wants your forgiveness before facing his creator. He wants a cheap atonement. You must not make it so easy for him at all. Not an a-hole. Let the brother-in-law apologize to the children that he used to destroy their relationship with their father. No deathbed mea culpas for brother-in-law. He destroyed your family, and now his conscience can keep him company with a continual reminder of just how awful his actions were. He's not dying, but he has health issues that are slowing him down. I don't know the reason or the purpose of his apology, and I don't even know what my children think about this. No one mentioned them, and my daughter moved hours away, so I don't know if she's even aware of what her uncle is doing right now. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole if I don't want to give my parents pocket money? I'm 20 with 2 younger siblings who are currently still in high school and middle school. I also live in a third world country. The pandemic's hit us pretty hard, but we've been pretty close to being poor since I was 13 to 14 because my father messed around with gambling. My parents are divorced. My father, 45, is currently unemployed. My mother, 44, has her married since, and she gets her money from her current husband, 54, who is working abroad. I have 2 half-brothers from her new marriage. I am the only one earning regular each month because I freelance and I still have clients. I earn on average $700 to $1,000 a month. Freelancing, never really certain with the amount. Lately, I've been the one who's paying for most of the bills. Rent, because we don't have a house and we can't qualify for a mortgage. My siblings and my own tuition fees, etc. When I have extra money, I get some things for my family if they ask for it, / been talking about it. Like a new phone for my younger sister because she's had hers for years and it's dying, a sewing machine for my mother, etc. They never cost more than $200. I'm only 20. This freelance thing isn't a lucrative career that will make me rich. I've been bordering poor almost half of my whole life until recently. Think, not homeless, but we have no car, no home, nothing to our name. We're always renting, moving, living on a day-to-day basis. We still don't have any assets right now. I want to enjoy my earnings too. While I'd love to give my parents some pocket money, am I really obligated to? My mother told me I should give some money to my father because he's not earning anything recently. Isn't it enough for me to help with some household bills? She made it sound as if it's the morally correct thing to do because I'm earning now, and I felt irritated. It's the guilt that's eating me even though I don't feel like I'm wrong. Is it selfish if I don't want to give pocket money to my parents? Am I the a-hole for feeling / thinking this way? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You haven't given any reason why your dad can't work or try to be an adult. He needs to step up, take care of his gambling addiction, which is where his pocket money would wind up, and at least try to support himself. You're doing so much for your family. Please don't get guilted into doing more than you're comfortable with. And in the infamous words of Reddit, don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Don't get so caught up in taking care of adults who refuse to act like adults that you end up hurting yourself. If the mom keeps prying, say that you will, but you will stop paying the bills. Watch how fast she freaks out. Also, $700 to $1,000 a month isn't a ton. Enough to pay the bills and a little extra, but not much. Why can't the dad get a job? You're doing practically everything, paying for so much. Don't fall for this. They want to make you the one to be responsible for everything, so they don't have to do anything. Don't feel guilty. I suggest that you make plans on moving out. This feels like a toxic situation. Not a day-hole. Not day-hole. You're already providing above and beyond, and your dad is currently dealing with the consequences of his own actions. I'm confused on this situation though. Are you living with your mom, sister, and step-siblings? And paying full rent even though your mom is receiving money from her husband? How is your mom financially contributing? And does your sister work? It's very confusing for me too. I'm currently living with my mother and siblings, but my father will be moving in with us too. Yeah, they're divorced. This sounds so fake, and I don't know anymore. None of my siblings are old enough to work where I live. There really is no part-time for teens or anything like that. The money my mother gets from her current husband goes to her 2 children with him mostly, and sometimes she buys groceries/food. Not day-hole. You are covering rent and more. It's more your place than your mother's now since her husband is not providing. There is an issue there because you're supposed to building your own life, not supporting them. 3 months, Mom. I need to move out and make my own life. Best of luck. Best of luck with your own life too. Edit. Thank you so much for the answer and advice, everyone. I actually almost cried because I've been labeled as selfish a lot for not wanting to do something along with "I'm your family" / "I raised you, why can't you do this for us" thing. That I've known to be manipulative, but I can't shake the guilt off. I'm trying to change my mindset and stop feeling guilty, plus stand up for myself a bit more. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents they have to pay for my wedding? I, female 28, am getting married to a pretty great guy, 32. He is a teacher and he is very happy with his decision to become a teacher, while I work for a tech company, and we do pretty well financially. We have been together for 4 years and have finally decided to get married. His parents are happy and mine are overjoyed. One small wrinkle is that my parents expect us to have a massive church wedding with a few hundred guests, while we were thinking Jamaica this summer during his time off. We are willing to do what my parents want, but I am unwilling to foot the bill. My mom and I met with a wedding planner for an estimate, $35,000 to $45,000. If we go to the resort we have picked out, it will cost like $10,000, and that includes paying for his parents and nephew to join us. My parents know how much money I earn and are insisting that I pay for the wedding myself. But we have been very clear. If they want to show off to their friends, they can pay for it. We even volunteered to throw in the money we would have spent on my in-laws for the destination wedding we want. But my mom says I'm being an a-hole by denying her the chance to see her only daughter married in front of friends and family. I'm not. I'm just not willing to pay for it. My parents can afford to pay for the wedding. It might just mean putting off replacing their car this year. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If they want the $40,000 wedding, then they pay for it. Otherwise, stick to your $10,000 plan. In fact, do that anyway. That's what you and your partner want, and this is your wedding. Paying for someone's wedding means you get a say. By rights, that means not paying for the wedding means you don't get a say. Fair is fair. I never understood that mentality. As a parent, I would want to help pay for my child's wedding simply because I love them and want them to be happy. I would not use it as a leverage to force my desires or ideas on a wedding that's not even mine. That's super controlling in my opinion. Most people start there, but assume their kid will think how they think and get frustrated with the difference between what they assumed and what is happening. It's a pretty self-centered way to parent, and only in rare cases where the kids are genuinely using the money in an inhospitable way do I think there is any excuse to intervene. For example, no chairs for a long ceremony when elderly relatives are invited or in-laws get an amazing table up front, but the paying parents are at the rejects table and back by the bathroom. That sort of thing. Not the a-hole. If it's that important to your parents, then they can pay for it. But beware of any strings that might come along with them footing the bill. They can have the wedding any way they want if they pay for it. The only thing set in stone is the date. I think they are going to find it difficult to get a venue and the rest set up at a time frame they have. My mother wanted a bigger wedding than I was willing to organize, so she did everything. I got my stress-free day and she got to watch me get married. Bonus, she paid for everything. I just showed up. Even if I had $40K, I would not spend that amount of money of a wedding. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. This is why I eloped. Lol. Honestly, the audacity of your mother to expect a wedding you don't want, and also not want to pay for it, is astounding. Do what makes you happy. Don't back down on this. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my newly engaged cousin my grandmother's engagement ring? So, my 22 female cousin Becky, 22 female, got engaged over New Year's. When Becky's fiancé asked my uncle's permission, my uncle offered my grandma's engagement ring. She died when we were 3 because he thought that he had a ring. The ring had already passed through 2 generations to get to my grandmother, so he wanted to continue the tradition. The ring wasn't willed to anyone, nor did she verbally say who she wanted the rings to go to as far as I'm aware. But my uncle thought that he had it because he was the oldest brother. Anyway, it turns out that after my grandma died, in the process of clearing out her flat and stuff, my dad ended up with her engagement ring and wedding band. And over COVID lockdowns, we were having a clear out to see what we could donate to charity shops, and we found the rings with some of my grandma's other stuff in the attic. I asked my dad if I could have the engagement ring because I think it's pretty, emerald and diamond. I paid to have the ring cleaned, replated, and have the settings checked. I now wear the ring fairly regularly because since starting my career after uni, I've started to wear more jewelry because I think it's a simple way of looking more put together and polished. My uncle, aunt, and cousin, we're both only children, have been hunting around their house for the ring since late October, and Becky's fiancé proposed with some costume jewelry. My parents and I didn't know about any of this at the time. Over the weekend, Becky had her engagement party. I wore the ring not thinking much of it, because it went with what I was wearing, a green velvet jumpsuit. Of course, Becky and my uncle recognized the ring right away, accusing my dad of stealing from under them when my grandma died. He was there first, and my parents did the majority of the packing because she lived closer to us. And then accusing me of wearing it just to spite them, and telling me that I ruined the evening and demanding that I give the ring over. I told them I didn't know they were looking for the ring, and if they had mentioned it to me or my parents, we could have told them I had a ring. I don't want to give her the ring because I consider it my ring as it ended up with my dad and he gave it to me. I paid for it to be resized, /cleaned, /replated, /settings fixed. It's my favorite /most worn piece of jewelry because I like how it looks and the sentimental value of it being my grandma's. Because I don't really remember her, so it helps me feel connected to her. And my grandma expressed no preference to who the ring went to. They argue that Becky should get the ring because she's the daughter of the eldest son. My aunt is the only girl and currently has no children or plans to get married. And Becky got engaged first, so she should get the ring for that. Not the a-hole. If he didn't know he didn't have the ring for 19 years, he doesn't deserve the heirloom. And not mentioning the missing item to his own brother shows his narcissism of being eldest. And finally, no will? Finders keepers, sister. Keep wearing it in good faith. That was my thinking too. They for 19 years didn't realize they didn't have the ring. When you clear someone's house that you love, you remember what items you took and where they are. At least I do anyway. Would be interested in what a court would rule, as the argument would likely be that it's been safely in your dad's possession for years, was given to you by your dad, and you invested in having it made to fit you and be restored. I would be surprised if a ring was suddenly taken to give to another sibling's daughter who has got engaged first. And Opie acquired a ring in good faith as well. It's passed to a third party who actually spent money on it in reliance of the previous owner's representations. Many common law countries will likely recognize Opie as having some equitable interest in the property. Don't worry about such comments, Opie. This is a bit of a no-a-hole situation. With things like heirloom jewelry, especially something that would be a sentimental piece like an engagement ring, it should be discussed about where it goes. Once your dad found it, he should have mentioned it to his brother and they could have made a decision together. The gems could have been split to make both of you girls a ring, or they could have been kept whole and the determination of where it went could have been made collaboratively. You're now in an unfortunate position where you're attached to the ring, and your uncle and cousin are feeling like this was a bit sneaky and underhanded by your dad. Everyone is allowed to feel upset here. And truthfully, I think either everyone is going to need to be willing to compromise or cut their losses, but there will be an added strain to their relationship. You won't be wrong to keep the ring. We found both grandma's and grandpa's wedding bands at the same time, that I got cleaned and replated at the same time. I am more than happy to let her have those rings. That way, her and her fiancé can have a matching set with a sentimental value. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not being able to pay for my parents' mortgage? My parents didn't buy a house when I was younger as my family couldn't afford it, so we lived in a rented house all the time. My dad used to work mostly lowly paid jobs, and my mom never really wanted to work. I moved out of my parents' house when I was 18 and started working full-time in 2019 and moved in with my boyfriend. My boyfriend had a deposit for a house at a time and asked me to put down my name on the house and mortgage about half the payment. We bought our house in 2020 and it was relatively cheap. Since I got a house, my parents have been accusing me that I don't help them financially. They kept on persuading me to get a mortgage in my name for them. I kept on refusing as I didn't want to take another mortgage in my name and put myself in more debt. That's if the bank would even allow me to have more than one mortgage. Anyway, my parents got the hint that I won't get a mortgage for them. So, they both decided to work as many hours as they could to qualify for a bigger mortgage. My dad would always call me and guilt-trip me that my mom is only working because I wouldn't help them. To be honest, I felt like even if I applied for the mortgage and somehow got it, then I would have to pay for it as well, which I clearly couldn't afford. Last year, they saved up enough to put down a deposit for a house. They went and bought a new build, which tend to be more expensive as well. They moved in the house last month. Since then, my mom decided that she doesn't want to work and keeps on calling to help them to pay for their mortgage. Both of my parents keep on insisting that I should pay at least half of it, which is about £600 a month. I keep on telling them that with everything going up in price, I barely have anything left at the end of the month, and I won't be able to pay. I don't really feel like talking to my parents anymore. They keep on making me feel guilty for their situation. Am I the a-hole because I can't afford to help them? Now for the top comments. We both know the only reason you're here is because you feel guilty, not because you don't know if you're an a-hole or not. You feel guilty because the people that you owe nothing to are guilt-tripping you, instead of doing what they need to for their lives. Obviously, you're not the a-hole, but your parents definitely are. I have no idea to the extent of your relationship, but me personally, I just start hanging up anytime the conversation gets there. Oh, someone's at the door. I'll have to call you back. Pizza's here. Later. I have to take a dump. Bye. And only whenever this group of grown adults that brought you into a world you never asked to be brought into start hounding you about paying their bills for them when you don't even live with them. Just know that they'd be financially using you if you don't immediately leave. It is the way they talk to me now that makes me question whether it is my fault. I have been trying to be strong and not fall for their words for a few years now, but I will try to use your tactics when a conversation gets there from now on. Your mother doesn't want to work and expects you to essentially do that for her. For the love of everything that's holy, never give them money, not even in an emergency. Because after the first emergency, the second will be there soon enough. It is absolutely not your fault. Good parents would never dream of pulling this nonsense on their child. I'm sorry your parents suck, but you need not, and should not, pay their mortgage because your mom is too lazy to work like a normal human being. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother he never deserved to be a father? I have custody of my 12-year-old nephew Dex. My brother is Dex's dad. He and Dex's mom divorced when Dex was 2. When Dex was 4, brother met his current wife Shanna, and when Dex was 6, his mom died. A couple of years later, Shanna got pregnant and went into premature labor. My niece was stillborn, and a hysterectomy had to be performed to save Shanna's life after serious complications. It broke her. She was lost, and in her grief, she attempted to cling extra hard to Dex and have him beat a child she could no longer have biologically. But Dex was not Shanna's biggest fan, and he did not want to just sit with her all the time and pretend she was his mom. My brother decided Shanna should adopt Dex. He was so hard on Dex for wanting to hang out with friends or for being in his room instead of around Shanna. She became more and more possessive of Dex. My husband and I noticed, and we stepped in to try and help. But my brother became angry and kicked us out and told us we were not helping Shanna. For several months, Dex was cut off from the rest of the family and went through a lot at home. In the end, he had a huge outburst in school, and CPS became involved. And from there, Dex was removed from my brother and placed with my husband and I. It was supposed to be temporary, but my brother failed repeatedly to change how he treated Dex. At that point, he was treating his son like he was the worst person in the world. Dex told me his dad called him evil after everything that happened with Shanna. He even told him he'd hate Dex forever for not helping her, when he could easily. It seems Shanna eventually did seek help, and my brother decided this was enough to get Dex back, but CPS and the judge disagreed. He then cornered me at Christmas and told me that he deserved to be back in his son's life, and that we were punishing him for parenting decisions that many others would make in his shoes. Meaning trying to force his kid to become his wife's kid, to gloss over the loss of her own child and her ability to have a child in the future. I told him he didn't deserve to be a father after the way he treated his own child. I told him Dex should have always been at the forefront of his mind, that he never should have verbally mistreated him for not faking things for Shanna. I said as a husband, he should have gotten her some real, professional help, and he should have supported his son in saying he didn't want Shanna to become his new mom, instead of calling him evil. Instead of telling him he was disgusted with him or comparing him to a historical figure who was responsible for the deaths of so many people. This actually happened on multiple occasions. I told him he should be ashamed of himself and leave Dex to live a happier and healthier life without him. My brother was furious. He even attempted to confront me again at work. A friend of his actually told me I should have been more understanding, and even if I'm angry, it was too harsh to say he didn't deserve to be a father. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Their behavior was so problematic that CPS had to remove him, and he then repeatedly failed to change his behavior thereafter. It's good Shanna's getting the help she needs, but it sounds like your brother still needs a fair amount of help too. Until then, do what's in the best interest of the child. I hope they don't decide to adopt or foster. They would both be terrible parents. The brother is incredibly cruel and abusive, while Shanna is too fragile and unstable. Having an open or even a history of CPS would prevent you from being a foster care parent, at least in the area I am from. Hopefully private adoption agencies operate in the same manner. Not the a-hole. It seems to me your brother needs more help than his wife. Ask him to go to therapist. Were your words not polite? Yes. Was it justified? Definitely. That was what the courts ordered him to do when Dex was removed. He never went to a single appointment. Wow, then you're definitely not the a-hole. I can't believe how incredibly selfish and immature your brother is. While I understand your brother is panicked to try to help his wife who has just a miscarriage, forcing a very young child to be responsible for a stepmother's mental well-being is not the way to go about it. I am incredibly sorry for Shanna's loss, and I'm glad to hear that she's getting help. But it's clear that your brother needs help too. I do think that a gentler conversation should be pursued about him getting help. From you or from friends/relatives that he's comfortable with. That being said, you're not wrong to want to protect Dex from it all. Not the a-hole, but your brother needs help. And maybe Dex needs to be made aware of what's happening in a way that'd be comprehensible to a 6-year-old. He's 12 now, and he was aware of what was going on with him. His dad used it to shame and talk down to him repeatedly. First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my sister use my son's yachts for her wedding? My son Thomas passed away a year ago at the age of 25. He was such a sweet soul. He was kind and sympathetic. Despite having suffered so much, he still had a joyful smile. He wanted to be an engineer, but unfortunately he couldn't continue his education. He was involved in a car accident and had a severe injury and became paralyzed. I did everything I could to help him regain his life, but what happened was devastating. We were spending time at the hospital while my family were getting together celebrating birthdays/weddings, etc., and excluded me and Thomas. I asked them to show up, at least show emotional support to Thomas, but they didn't visit. I took Thomas home and I became his primary caregiver. I found that Thomas was home 24/7 with no family visiting us, even on holidays. Every time I complained, my sister would suggest I put Thomas in home care. Eventually, I stopped begging them to visit and include Thomas in their events and check in on him. They treated Thomas like he was dead. He suffered from anemia. It affected his heart function and his health was getting worse. 4 months before he passed away, I decided to achieve at least one goal he had in his mind. He always wanted to get his own yacht and wanted to buy it himself. I sold a land I had for 5 years and I bought a yacht. I told him that it was his. He was overjoyed. We started spending most of his time there, on weekends and on holidays, till he suddenly passed away, and it was devastating. I couldn't visit the yacht till 6 months after his passing, as this is where I remember him the most. My family visited, made Facebook tributes, hanged pictures of him, and visited his grave. I was still upset with them, and I kept my distance. But last week, my mother and sister were visiting and asked if they could use my son's yacht for my sister's wedding this summer. I declined, but they talked about how expensive it is to rent a yacht and that mine was perfect. I corrected my sister, told her that's Thomas's yacht. Thomas, who they refused to visit and comfort during his dark times. My sister denied all that and said she didn't come to talk about the past, and that as her brother I should help out. I argued with her and my mother after they said I was declining out of spite and called me selfish to punish them for Thomas's death. My brother said I was wrong because the family is keeping his memory alive by talking about him and that I should get therapy, otherwise I'll be causing people to cut me out. Now for the top comments. OP, if they did not visit once while he had all this, say, fine, you can use his yacht as many times you've visited him during that time. Not at A-Hall, by the way. This, not at A-Hall. So sorry you're dealing with this. Not at A-Hall for this. Very sorry for your loss. But you might benefit from therapy for you, not to appease your family. Thank you. I have a group of people who also experienced what I've experienced, and I meet with them every week and we talked for hours. Before that, I was in therapy. My brother doesn't know that because of how distant and the rest of the family have been. Not at A-Hall. They talked about how expensive it is to rent a yacht and that mine was perfect. I corrected my sister, told her that's Thomas's yacht. Thomas, who they refused to visit and comfort during his dark times. My sister denied all that and said she didn't come to talk about the past and that as her brother I should help out. I argued with her and my mother after they said I was declining out of spite. So what if you are declining out of spite? She contributed negatively to your son's last few weeks. She's lucky you aren't agreeing to it, only to sell the yacht a day before. I mean, they even admit he has something to be spiteful for. They know what they did is wrong. They just don't care. The next story is titled, Am I the A-Hall for kicking my brother and his wife out after they asked my wife to host their baby shower 2 weeks after she had a stillbirth? My wife and I were expecting our first baby boy together. We've been married for 3 years and my wife had 1 miscarriage before, and we were really optimistic about this pregnancy. But the unexpected happened and my wife had a stillbirth 2 weeks ago. It all happened so fast. We thought we planned for everything, but all that was unexpected. We were devastated to say the least. We haven't gone out nor talked to anyone during these times. My mom and family visit to check on us. They bring meals, books, and they ask how we're doing every day. Yesterday, my brother and his wife were visiting as well. His wife's pregnant with their second, and the moment they sat down, she started talking about her baby shower. My wife and I were getting uncomfortable as she went on about what they're going to do. My mom was sitting there when my brother's wife looked at me and my wife and asked my wife if she's willing to host her baby shower party. We were stunned. My wife almost cried while my brother just sat there, arms folded, and smiled at us. His wife said no one is available, so she asked my wife to do it, and that I'll be nice for her to change the mood. I immediately lashed out on her and told her to stop because she was acting selfish and inconsiderate of what we're going through. She played dumb as I reminded her that we just lost our son and asked how could she possibly think it's okay to even ask something like that. My brother told me to calm down, but I lost my temper. My wife went inside a room and I kept telling them what an insensitive request my sister-in-law just made. Shockingly, no one thought it was a big deal. We got into an argument and my brother blew up when his wife started crying. I told them to leave and my mom didn't like that I was yelling at them and lashing out. After they left, my mom reminded me that they're the ones sending meals and checking on me and my wife. She berated me for half an hour and told me to wait till they come down and apologize because I was out of line with how I behaved. I haven't talked to them. My dad says whatever happens, I shouldn't treat them like that, and that my anger was misplaced and I hurt the people around me, which was unacceptable. Two things to point out. I'm not sure about them lacking intelligence because they're both intelligent enough to obtain a degree. My sister-in-law is a school secretary, and my brother is a dentist. Also, I really thought my wife's family were worse because they wanted to have some of our baby's things to take with them before leaving town after they came. We're in low contact with them. Now for the top comments. Not Dayhall. First of all, I'm sorry for your loss. I hope you guys are getting okay. Secondly, literally reading that filled me with anger on your behalf. How insensitive and selfish can you be? Also, seriously? Planning a baby shower will change your wife's mood? She's not upset because she banged her toe. She lost a baby. Your wife was almost crying and they still didn't stop? You were well justified. This is perfect. I'm livid just reading the post. Sister-in-law and brother are truly horrible people. I genuinely can't think of exactly what thought process led them to think this is a reasonable request. After they left, my mom reminded me that they're the ones sending meals and checking on me and my wife. Yeah, and now you know why. Not out of love, but out of attempting to buy compliance through indebtedness and guilt. You don't owe them a damn thing. There was no way in hell any reasonably adjusted person would be that tone deaf. That was malicious, and I admire your restraint. Not a-hole. Yeah, I felt awful after my mom told me that. She managed to make me feel as if I created this terrible situation. Not a-hole. Forget them for now and talk to people who love and support you. Not a-hole. Your sister-in-law is tacky as hell and completely oblivious to decency and social norms. Your mom as well, and fortunately. Your brother should have told her to shut the F up about her baby shower. You protected your wife as best you could, considering the circumstances. Sending people aid when they're having a crisis does not give you the right to treat them like robot slaves. The next story is titled, Would I be the a-hole if I told my mom that suing would be pointless even though it means a lot to her? I feel like an a-hole even thinking about this, but I also feel she needs some hard truth. When me, 25 male, and my sister, 27 female, were 9 and 11, my mom had a baby, our sister. She lived for 6 weeks before passing away from SIDS. As most can imagine, my mom was never the same since. The same day our sister passed away, CPS stepped in and removed me and my sister from the home. I didn't know why at the time, but she was awarded custody of us 2 years later. During this time, my sister, who was placed in a different home, was dealt a horrible hand, which I can't explain here. But because of this, when she was released into my mom's care, she was just broken. Started drinking heavily at 13, dropped out of school, etc. Mom refused to get her into therapy for help because I dealt with the death of a child and worked through it myself, so you can work through this yourself too. My sister never went into full detail about the events she was faced with, thank God, because that probably would have landed me in jail. Anyways, my mom spoke of suing DHHS for years following that. Went to law school to become a lawyer to better her case and everything. 8 months ago, she put in the paperwork to sue DHHS for taking us back then. The next week, I was helping mom move and came across all the paperwork and files from our DHHS case years ago and I took them. I shouldn't have, but I did. I went digging. Turns out that my mom's ex-alcoholic boyfriend was a main suspect in my sister's passing. So we were lied to. It wasn't SIDS. It also stated in the paperwork that my mom was given a strict order to go no contact with her ex while we were in state custody, and she failed to do so. That's why it took her 2 years to get us back. Given that I now know all of the information, I want to explain to my mother that suing would be a giant waste of time and money. She has asked us to help her out with lawyer fees and to speak on the stand on her behalf. My sister, still broken, has outright refused and has gone no contact. She was older and knew then that my mom was hiding something about the case and doesn't trust my mother and holds a lot of resentment. Anyways, would I be the a-hole if I told my mom that she shouldn't sue and that now that I know everything about the case, I will not be vouching for her on the stand? Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry you have been through all this. If you haven't already, get yourself some therapy. I have gotten myself into therapy and it has helped me a lot. Unfortunately, my sister hasn't been so fortunate. She tried getting help through therapy and was basically told that she was lying and it was all in her head. What kind of awful therapist told her that? Did multiple therapists say this independently, or was it just one? It was 3 different therapists, which is even more messed up. I think they thought she just wanted meds, honestly. Was it when she was younger? I hate to say this, if you haven't considered it, but your mom could have collared the treatment. She checked herself into therapy on her own when she left our house at 16, and then tried again 3 years ago because she still has nightmares and severe post-traumatic stress disorder. The last therapist she went to told her that she has kids now. If she was to get diagnosed with mental health issues, then it would be possible that CPS would look into her stability and possibly deem her unfit. She immediately pretended to be okay and took herself out of therapy because of that one comment. She won't go back. Not at a-hole. As much as your mom tries to play herself as the victim, she's at fault. She lied to you. She contacted her presumably dangerous boyfriend when she was ordered not to, and maybe most importantly, she denied therapy for your sister. Mom refused to get her into therapy for help because I dealt with the death of a child and worked through it myself, so you can work through this yourself too. That's appalling and shows your mom's true character. How selfish and a crap human does someone have to be to say something like that to her clearly traumatized and hurt daughter? It sounds like the "she was never the same since" is something she wants you to believe so as to use it as an excuse whenever she screws up / mistreats you. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I will never be in her stepson's kid's life? My mom and stepdad married when I was 6 and his son was 9. We have never been close, and he has never cared for a relationship with me. From the ages of 8 to 15, we fought like crazy, and he made the fact we'll never be family clear to me. He also doesn't like my mom or our extended family. He has not said a single word to me in almost a decade, and I'm fine with it. He invited me to his wedding because of the pressure from his dad, but did not speak to me. Neither did his wife. I actually didn't want to go, but my parents were really hoping it would bring some good, so I went for them. But after that, he decided that from then on I would not be included in anything regardless of whether his dad wanted him to include me. He and his wife had a baby recently, and there is a small celebration planned. I am not invited, but my mom wanted me to send a gift anyway. I told her that wasn't going to happen. She said it would show me attempting to be a good aunt. I told her I will never be his kid's aunt, and that I am not part of his family and he is not part of mine. That I understood it was hard for her and my stepdad to see us not getting along, but he has made his feelings clear and I have no interest in forming a relationship with this child. I told her that child will always be a stranger to me, and it's okay if they have emotions about that, but they can't change things, because the lack of relationship is a fact by now and not something that will change. She was upset and told me I should still care because I am an aunt, whether he likes it or not, and whether I like it or not. She said we are family and we lived as siblings for a large part of our life. My mom told me to consider my actions, and now I'm wondering if she is right in any way. I don't know if I was a little too harsh when I have zero issues with the baby. It's just a fact I will never be their aunt. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. No way. You shouldn't be expected to continuously go above and beyond for someone who's made it clear they don't want to have a relationship with you. Exactly. What she's doing is guilt-tripping you. Probably because you've been the most reasonable one up to date. It's easier to guilt you to keep at the relationship than try and convince her stepson to not be an a-hat. It's really unfair to you. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Relationships require consent of both, and failed relationships are a natural thing. Forcing one side to approach a side that doesn't care or want a relationship is folly. Not the a-hole. Just because your parents got married doesn't mean you're siblings. He made clear what he thinks of you, so why should you even think about being an aunt for that child? Exactly. Following the same logic, OP is not an aunt to this child. Not the a-hole. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.